The PRL's sharing a little slice of cucumber with an auto. Hey guys, so I thought just for the hell of it I'd film a little video here going through all of my shrimp tanks, so I hope you enjoy. Well, to start things off, I thought I'd start with my two slanted tanks. These are actually really neat. I bought them online, and I don't know if you can tell, like, they've got this really neat kind of slanted front to them that makes viewing really nice. I just dropped in a slice of cucumber. You can see some of my blue dreams are starting to snack on it already. The past few days, for some reason, this tank, everybody's been hiding in. I guess the moss has gotten way overgrown along with some of the plants. But this tank is actually a mix of Blue Dream and Yellow King Kong. That's actually a guy that I need to cull out of there, so I'll definitely have to grab him out. He's way too light to be in here. I'll try and splice in some more footage maybe in a little bit. I guess right now everybody seems to be hiding. There's a really large colony of both in here, so I don't know why nobody's out. Of course, when I want to show them off, nobody's around to be seen. So I just put down the camera and went and got that cull out and stuck him in my cull tank. But here's one of the Yellow King Kongs. I guess I probably should have filmed this during the day because they seem to be a lot more active then. But yeah, definitely picked the wrong time to film. But yeah, the tank is full of Yellow King Kongs and Blue Dreams. Next tank over next to it, I call this my tiger tank. I've got a bunch of Tangerine tigers in here, but as well I've mixed in some different kinds of tigers, and as you can see I also have a bunch of metallic half-beaks swimming around here. I thought they would be a good addition to this tank just because their eyes kind of face upwards and their half beaks, like the bottom half is way bigger than the top half, so they can kind of only eat things dropping down towards them. So I figured that would be a good fish to have in a shrimp tank, so you know they can't really eat the little shrimplets below them. And again, I really picked the worst time to film in here. There's another Tangerine tiger. I also mixed in some crystal blacks, which have crossbred with these guys and given a nice kind of more of a striping to them. This is also really overgrown. Surprisingly, I don't use any CO2 in this tank. It just seems to grow plants a lot better than any of my other tanks. So I need to definitely get in here and trim a bunch, but see a bunch of random tangerines around. I also have a couple pandas that panda shrimp I put in here to see what that cross would look like, but they haven't bred yet, so I'll have to do a follow-up on that one. There's a Tangerine tiger, and up here is a crossbreed. I believe it's a Tang Tai B, kind of a mix of a Tangerine tiger and I believe a crystal black. Here's a tiger shrimp, and let's see if I can find any of the orange-eye blue tigers. Had all kinds of tigers in here. That one. Now if we go right over to the side here, I went ahead and turned off my main air pump so that it wouldn't be too loud. But this is my coal tank. I've shown this in an earlier video where I built this stand because this was a windowsill that was tilted downward, so I had to flatten it. But yeah, this is where I stick all of my coal shrimp that don't make the cut for one reason or another. Got some yellows. It's almost all neocaridina in here. Two of my coal tank from the other side. I also have some least killifish swimming around in here. Where'd they go? Oh, there was one up there. There we go. I found they're a really fun little fish that does well in tiny aquariums and doesn't require much of anything. And yeah, I dropped in a shell of a dead apple snail, just a mystery snail, just to give a little hiding place for some of these shrimps. Got mostly some cherries, some yellows, some of my blue dreams. Yeah, that'd be a fun little skittle tank. Now moving on to my most recent tank that I've set up for shrimp. This is my PRL, or Pure Redline Caridina shrimp tank. This actually looks a lot more established than it is. I actually just set this up about 2 or 3 months ago, but I used a bunch of already established sponges and planted a bunch of plants from all my other tanks in it, and it really started to take off pretty quickly. It's doing really well though, and I got all of these shrimp as little tiny shrimplets, and they're just finally maturing to the size that I'm hoping to see some buried females pretty soon. The crystal reds and the PRLs are some of my favorite shrimp. I just love the way they look. They remind me of little candy canes. I haven't really trimmed much of this tank, but figured I'd kind of let it grow out like a jungle, because that always works out really well for shrimplets, you know, little baby shrimp, to have a place to hide. And also freshly molted shrimp. I like to have a lot of my tanks a little wild so they can have tons of hiding spaces. And also the substrate, I had trouble in the past with some different crystal shrimp, and a friend of mine recommended that I use this special substrate. I can't remember the name of it right now. Give me a second. I'll go check it out, and I'll get back to you on a second about this. Sorry about that. I really didn't plan to make this video today. I just realized I hadn't uploaded anything. Actually, the substrate is Azu, and their substrate's pretty expensive. It's like 40 bucks for a bag of it, but it has really worked so much better than in my earlier tanks, where I used some of the more regular substrates that are around for shrimp tanks, like fluval stratum and such. I had a lot of die-offs and issues with the Azu. Throughout having this tank for the past few months, I've only seen one dead shrimp the entire time, so I would definitely recommend this substrate. It's worked great for me. I use RO water in all my tanks and remineralize it, but yeah, other than that, I haven't done anything different between this and my other tanks, and I have like pretty much 0 die-offs in this one, so definitely something I'd recommend. Alright, let's move on. Alright, last but not least, my cherry shrimp tank. The shrimp tank to start them all. I I started out with this one quite a while back, and over time I looked for other things to share the tank with them. There's a couple chili rasboras somewhere in here, and a couple phoenix rasboras. I believe there's one. Oh, there's one right there. They've done pretty well. They like to hide in the back a lot, you can see. But another species that I found goes along well with them. Around in here somewhere, there's a dwarf Cajun crayfish. It might take me a second to find some. They really like to hide, but they're really interesting. And I do keep autosynkless in all my shrimp tanks just to help keep the glass clean and anything the shrimp can't reach. But and in this one I used volcanic rock as a substrate, really small pieces. I figured that would work good for filtration, you know, just kind of a tank full of filter media kind of. And it really has. I don't really need to pay too much attention to anything in here. You know, the water quality stays pretty well, even if I forget to change it for a few weeks. Let me dig in here and see if I can find some of the dwarf Cajun crayfish. So here's one of the Cajun dwarf crayfish. They actually come in all kinds of colors. This one's kind of a bluish. A lot of them were reddish, but a few were actually closer to black, and I'm not really sure what it is, but they come out in all kinds of different colors. I've had them breed a few times in here, but sadly I actually neglected this tank quite a bit for a while, and both populations in here kind of died back a bit. I'll see if I can find any other different colored ones. They're really an interesting little kind of crayfish, and it's nice because they can live peacefully with Neocaridina in here, and they stay around the same water parameters, and they get along well with each other. I've never witnessed any fights. So unfortunately, I didn't have my camera rolling while I lifted up these logs. There were a few other ones that darted off before I could get a good shot of them. But I definitely seem to have picked the worst time of day to film my little shrimp video. But I'll go through some of my older footage and splice in clips, hopefully, that I still have from the past few days and weeks that I've filmed of these little guys going around. But yeah, I keep a lot of shrimp in my other tanks, but those are just mostly a mono and ghost shrimp. So I thought I didn't really want to film every single tank. This is just my main ones dedicated mostly to shrimp. So I hope you enjoyed, and I have a few more videos that I'm about done with. I just wanted to get this one out there so there's something to view. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.